What's up, everybody? My name is Tony Hope, and you're listening to the Hear Me Roar podcast, a sports show where I run my mouth about all things sports. And today, I am back with my co-host Noble Lewis, who is currently seizing on the screen, and we are here presenting y'all another iteration of the Hear Me Roar podcast. And if you're not familiar with my voice, you better get used to it because I am the future of sports media. It's currently April 2nd, about to be April 3rd when this episode releases. It is thundering outside. We are on a tornado watch. So let's hope that we don't lose power. Let's hope that we don't lose internet. Let's hope that we don't have a tornado. It's tornado season. It's April. These are some of the best months and worst months as far as weather wise. It's because you're either going to feel perfectly good outside like it was a few days ago, or it's going to feel humid, sticky, raining, constant tornado watches and warnings. Up until about June, July, the weather is going to suck. Pollen everywhere. Yeah, I don't know why people like spring, but I digress. We are here to talk about some sports as usual. We have some drama concerning, or actually not even drama, like a serious case involving Rashee Rice being involved in a hit and run accident. Women's NCAA, the Elite Eight. We have the Final Four set. That was a very exciting 4 games. Men's NCAA, the Final Four has been set. We're going to get into that. And MLB Opening. Also, Wrestlemania week. Look, I know we haven't been talking about basketball. Playoffs are coming up. That's when we're going to really dive into the game and break down, just like how we did with the NFL playoffs. But this week, there's so much bigger stories going on. That's why we are not talking about the NBA. We will have an NBA special episode in the next few episodes. So, with that being said, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Rate us on Spotify. Rate us on Apple. Give us feedback. Share it. Follow us on our social medias. It's on the screen. Mine is at the Tony Hope. For Noble is at Noble Lewis on Instagram. That's where you can find all of our content. That's where you can find us posting our personal pages and whatnot. So give us a follow. With that being said, let's get right into this episode. So we're starting off with Rashee Rice. He has been involved in a hit and run accident in Las Vegas, I believe. Oh no, it's Dallas. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Three Rugs. So Dallas. It was a vehicle believed to have been registered or leased to Rashee Rice was involved in a crash. It was a multi-vehicle car crash with significant injuries to those involved. He is cooperating with local authorities, but it's very tiring seeing professional athletes, especially young black men, because that's what all professional sports are dominated by. Seeing young black men be so hell bent on throwing their lives away, right? We see it. We saw it with Henry Ruggs. That man is never stepping foot on an NFL court or NFL field ever again. We see it with thinking about the basketball player. I'm losing it. But there's countless examples. Gilbert Arenas with the guns in the locker room, and Javarius Crittenton. That's another old one that came to mind. I'm tired of seeing it. Ja Morant, and how it was just constant him being in the news cycle for doing stuff that is just not expected of someone who, whether you want it or not, you are looked at as a role model, a face of the NBA, and you're doing dumb shit. Rashee Rice just went from catching passes in a Super Bowl to possibly catching a felony. So it's very tiring seeing it. It's dumb. Allegedly, he was the only the car that was leased to him. He was the only one that was supposed to be driving it. Yet he wasn't behind the wheel of it. So it's another one. Jalen Carter.
Yeah, that's
With
what
the
I was going to mention, but yeah, Brandon
like,
Miller. I mean, obviously that one was a little bit different, but just the whole being in that situation in general.
yeah, like you have a lot going for you, and I can't blame them fully because some of these people come from literally nothing, and they don't know how to. Once they get thrusted into this spotlight, it might be hard to adjust and handle. However, there are certain things that I just don't have too much like sympathy and understanding for. A hit and run, really? in a busy city, a major city, you in very noticeable cars, a Lamborghini and a Corvette, right? So it's not like some ordinary Civic, and then running away from the scene of the crime is deplorable. That is nothing that there's no excuse for it, and I don't understand it. I don't like it. It's a bad look. It's a bad look for our people. It's a bad look for just him himself and his brand. We have been praising Rashee Rice about how he might be the future of the Chiefs, stepping up into that number one receiver spot. He stepped up in the playoffs after all these questions about who is the number one receiver for the Chiefs during the regular season. He stepped up and secured that role in the playoffs. But now none of that matters because this is what we're talking about now with him.
Yeah, and I mean it's just not a smart decision. You understand that there's and hey, like you said, the worst part about it is just fleeing the scene. You get into an accident, even though you're supposed to be driving the car. From that point, it's just you. That's really between you and the company. At that point, that's really just, dude, you need to be driving. You're not supposed to have somebody else behind the wheel of a car that you're leasing. Me personally, the car that I own, paid for, car that I own, I don't even really like people driving that. So to have a car that you're leasing, not even owned, that you're letting somebody else drive on the highway in a busy city, like that's just not a smart decision there. And then, like you said, fleeing the scene, there's dumb decision. That is really the biggest issue, is the hit and run. Accidents happen, can't kill you for that, but running away from the accident just makes you look so much more guilty in any, regardless of what the scenario is. Like, even if you, and it's mainly just, why did you decide to flee the scene of the accident? That's really
Right.
the biggest thing. Like I said, it's not as much of the accident happened. Yeah, that was a big thunder. It's not as much the accident happened. It's more so just deciding to flee the scene of the crime. And that's just, like you said, athletes are looked up as role models for the youth, for even, people our age, and the, young adults. They're looked up as role models. So if you see people crashing out and doing dumb stuff, waving guns a la John Morant, stuff like that, it just sets a terrible example for the youth. They want to be like athletes. They want to be like musicians. They want to be like these people that, they see in these prominent spaces. And if you know that as a professional athlete, you have to carry yourself as such. You have to set an example, a good example, for the people that look up to you. And then, like you said, speaking from a football perspective, now the Chiefs, depending on how this situation turns out, now the Chiefs went from going, having their future number one wide receiver. Now they got question marks there. So it's just all around just a bad situation. And you just got to be smarter than that. Got to be much smarter than that.
You have to. You get paid all of this money. Your second round pick. You had just under 1,000 yards in your rookie season. Had a great postseason. Won a Super Bowl as a rookie, as a contributing rookie. That is huge, right? That is huge for the future of your career. And brands, sponsorships, marketing, all of that stuff you have to take into mind about how you possibly jeopardize that. Jeopardize, like, it's
and you didn't even make it to your second NFL contract yet, so you ain't made big money yet.
Not at all. And you're in a profession where that money isn't guaranteed off jump, right? Anything can be taken away from you at any given moment in life, but you're in a profession where all that money is not even guaranteed. So and you're still on your rookie deal. Like you said, you haven't made it to the second year, and you're fleeing from a crime scene after you are clear. It's either you were speeding, right? The preliminary investigation said that the Corvette and Lamborghini was speeding. So y'all was probably racing. You got two fast cars, having fun. You're racing, you're young. So that's what's going on. You probably never drove something like this in your life, ever. Never even probably ridden in one. So now you have the chance. You go and you try to have fun with this street racing. Okay. But you flee the scene. So that makes me say, all right, what are you hiding? That's what I say. What are you hiding? Are you drunk? Are you rolling with something in your car that you know you shouldn't? You're rolling with people you shouldn't. Why did y'all flee the scene? There needs to be more emphasis. I'm not sure the protocols in the league, like any program set up in place, but in the NFL and the NBA, ML, I don't care, any professional sport, there needs to be a multiple programs set in a place for these young adults to learn risk management, risk aversion, learning how to handle all financial literacy, learning how to handle this very sudden influx of money and fame, right?
Like you
Because
said,
that fame can quickly turn into notoriety, and notoriety is not a good thing. Okay, there needs to be a program, whether it's in college, whether it's a part of your rookie contract, something written in where you have to take these classes, you have to show up, or you have to do this while you're playing. I'm not sure, but that needs to be put in place because we're seeing it. It's too often. It's too often, and it's heartbreaking because it was I think those two cars crashed and then four other cars got caught up
yeah,
with it.
6-car accident.
Yeah, luckily nobody died, right? But we have seen it happen just a few years ago with Henry Ruggs, you know.
Absolutely.
So we need to there needs to be a little bit more emphasis on these commissioners of these different leagues having something in place. These teams, the team owners, the managers, the GMs, there needs to be something in place where these young guys can learn just a little bit more about the risks and advantage of, or just like I said, risk management. You
Yeah,
have
I
to.
mean, I work.
Scared straight, but like you have to learn. You have to know what is worth it and what isn't.
Absolutely. I mean, I worked at Target and we had to take a whole I did to take a whole my first day was just doing courses and stuff like that. And that's just at Target. Of course, I don't know what systems they have in place, but I don't think if they exist, which I don't think they do, if they do exist, they're not clearly not adequate. And B, like I said, I just don't think they exist. And I think that it's important because, like you said, a lot of these guys come from very little to nothing, or even if you're coming from middle class, or even if you're rich yourself, growing up rich, it's different when you have it yourself. Your parents were rich, you were not rich.
Right.
So it's different when you got, like you said, young guys coming into millions of dollars essentially overnight. That is shift that cannot be a shift in your life that you cannot, you will not know until you experience it and how that affects you and your relationships and things of that sort. So there need, like you said, just risk aversion, understanding what is worth it and what is not worth it. Obviously, it's not going to eliminate every bad decision ever. That's not how it works. You're just trying to minimize them making decisions that they otherwise would make an error. Like that is the biggest emphasis. And like you said, I think there needs to be more of an emphasis on making these young guys understand how it can all go away like this. One bad move and all the millions that you are, signed up for, all of the stuff that you're looking forward to can be gone like this due to something off the field. Not only can it be gone on the field, it can be gone for something, just gone for something off the field. And that's where the issue is. So I do agree with that they definitely need to implement something better so that like these young guys can understand what the deal is.
Yeah, because like I said, I sympathize with these. I can't empathize because I lived a pretty privileged life. Like I said, and when I say privilege, of course I didn't have everything I wanted. I wasn't raised with money, but I was privileged enough to kind of have parents that gave me as much as the stuff as I wanted, within their means. Of what I really wanted was to go to Wrestlemania when it was down in Atlanta, WrestleMania 27. But that's an example. I wasn't able to go, but they tried. They took me to Raw instead or SmackDown. They tried. They tried. Okay, so I lived a pretty privileged lifestyle with two parents, a father and a mother in my life, good role models around me, good influences. Never was around danger. I've seen
Negativity.
crazy stuff. I've seen some stupid stuff, but it's not like I lived somewhere where it was constant. Like I was scared for my life, So I can't empathize with some of the decisions these guys make because I was raised to be safe rather than sorry. Like sometimes if you have that gut feeling, I was raised, don't go. You know, if it's past 12 a.m. and if you're in the house and you get invited out past 12 a.m., don't go. That's how I was raised, essentially. So that's kind of the benchmark that I continue to live my life by. Some of these athletes don't. They don't, you know? So it's something where they need to kind of have someone telling that stuff into their ear. They need to. Of course, we always say vets and mentors and all that stuff, but now the game is getting younger and younger and younger across all sports, you know? So it might be harder to find. However, something that isn't are good elders, right? Good coaches. More than just the success you have on the court. It's what you can do with on the field. It's how you can change the lives of or help these other men off the field as well. Coaches, how deep some of these staff lists are for these professional teams, you would think that they will have somebody on staff that is here to literally do this, to just guide first-year players, guide first and second-year players. Just how they do in college with the freshman learning communities and
an advisor, literally an advisor.
All they need. That's literally what they need. A financial advisor, not someone that literally touches their money, but just shows them a little bit of the intricacies. And same thing with risk management. I took a class in college about risk management. It was more so about insurance, but you can apply that to anything, right? These guys just don't have it. They see money, they see the opportunity to do this, they see the opportunity to do that, and they just act on a whim. You know, so I really think that this needs to be. I'm not too hard on Rashee Rice. It's dumb. It's stupid. And I hold him accountable 100% because you should have been the one in that car driving. You shouldn't have left the scene of the crime. But I think this is it's bigger than him. It's a bigger issue as far as these leagues will continue to make money off of the face of young talent. However, it just doesn't seem like they're investing it back into them. Like they don't have their best interest at heart. You know, that's just from surface value. When I see stuff like this, you know, when I see stuff, because like you said about from the football perspective, now the Chiefs going to be looking at him with the side eye. You saw how quick the Raiders got rid of Henry Ruggs, and deservedly so. But you saw how quick they got rid of him, you know, and quickly moved on to the next phase of their team. So they can chew you up and spit you out in a moment's notice. These young guys have to understand it. You know, they have to.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, man. It's just a matter of, you know, making better decisions or being able to make better decisions in the moment, right? Like it's one thing for something to build up. It's a completely different thing for you to make a bad decision in the moment. So it's about making smarter decisions at the present time. You know, times of, you know, stress levels, high stress situations. You just have to make better decisions at those times. And there needs to be an emphasis on it.
Yeah, there needs to be. Absolutely. Like I said, I'm disappointed, and Rashee Rice is to be held fully responsible because, you know, whoever he was with, they're not on this stage.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's another thing that they got to understand is that your friends don't have the stuff to lose that you do.
No, same thing we're saying I said it before with John Morant. Look, these your friends aren't your friends if they letting you do this in the first place, right? You know what I'm saying? If they don't check you and say like, bruh, you know, like y'all, the Super Bowl was not even a full 2 months ago. Like it's not even, and you're over here doing this dumb shit. You know, racing through a busy city. I don't care what time it is. I think it was like 6 o'clock. Yeah. So you're doing this shit in one of the biggest cities in the U.S. in the middle of the day, and you're fleeing the scene. You know, your friends aren't your friends if they're letting you do this. Same thing I said with John Morant long ago on the podcast. If they're letting you do this stuff, they're not your friends. Your friends have your best interest at heart. They don't have the same stuff to lose as you. They didn't make it to the NFL. They didn't make it to the NBA. You know, you did. You are in the, like, quite literally the 1%. The 1% of the population, probably even less than that.
Less
like
than
it makes the NFL. make the NBA, and you're so hell bent on throwing it away. And like you said, it's one thing if outside people take advantage of you, take advantage of your youth, take advantage of your naivety or your naiveness, take advantage of your lack of life experience, right? That's one thing. We've seen stories about that as well, with people stealing money,
Yeah, Allen
with
Iverson.
yeah, like people stealing money and just constantly like family members
Shohei.
asking, taking. We've seen that. And
Yeah.
that's one thing. But that's also why we need counseling and advisory for that as well. But when you're the one who is your own worst enemy, it's even worse, because it's like there has to be some type of rational thought where it's like,
Is it
yes,
worth
this might be fun in the moment,
it?
but
Absolutely.
long term, I could die from this. I could get hurt from this. I could get arrested. Like once you can start,
Yeah.
there's so much shit. If you start listing off all the potential negative outcomes, and then the positive outcomes is I
I had
had
a little
fun.
fun.
I have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like there's some shit where it's like you just don't need to do it. It's not necessary. Whether it's I'm delaying self gratification, whether it's completely fasting away, like fasting from something. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if you know your job does drug tests, you get in. This is a good paying job. You wanted this job. You still gonna smoke, bro? That's the dumb shit. That's what I'm saying. Like you can't. That's dumb. That's dumb. And all for what? All the negative outcomes is, I'm not gonna be able to pay my bills. I'm not gonna be able to go. I'm not gonna be able to feed myself. I'm gonna have to go back to work in retail. Like there's all these negative outcomes, and then the only positive is what? Oh man, it felt good getting high though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the type of stuff where it's like there has to be some level of rational thought being used by these athletes, right? Has to be. There has to be some base level of rational thought where it's like, man, this might not be a good idea. This
Yeah.
might
It's
not be
just
a good idea to do this.
you got to weigh the scales, man. Understand what do you have to gain and what do you have to lose from a
Yep.
situation. And if what you have to lose is greater than what you have to gain, probably
Shouldn't
shouldn't
be
be
a
in this
question.
situation. Yeah, probably,
Shouldn't be a question.
it shouldn't even be, like you said, it's just a matter of understanding what's worth it and what's not. If it's not worth it, if you're not, if it's not doing anything to better your career, to better you as a person, and the the other side of it is that you could lose your life, make somebody else lose their life, arrested, all sorts of other things, get hurt, all sorts of other things. It's just not worth it. It's just simply
It's not.
not worth it, and it never will
Yeah.
be.
No. It's just dumb. It's dumb. So I mean, and then there are, you know, certain things where it is high risk, high reward, right? Like
Yeah,
being a fighter, being a football player. I mean, shit. The high risk is you're most likely going to have some form of brain damage by the time you retire. By the time you reach your 40s, I've accepted that. Like
your
I already
body's
know.
probably
Like,
gonna be a little cooked, and then go out,
yeah,
and it
like
might be hard to walk when you're an NBA player in their
yeah,
50s.
and you knew that. You knew that going into it. However, the risk of making millions is there. That is worth it.
Yeah,
That is worth it.
generational wealth. Exactly. Like
Yeah,
that's so much different than something where the pros just don't the cons just outweigh the pros. If the pros don't outweigh the cons, it's not worth it.
yeah. I be telling people, I'm like, now you know that before when I started fighting, I started training. I just had the goal of having one amateur fight, just one. I want to see how I do. And after that, it was a tournament. I won both of them. After I did those two, I said, shit, might as well do an actual cage fight now. And then it just kind of spiraled until now I want to be a professional MMA fighter, right? I've already accepted that on this journey, it's as well as being a sports analyst, of course, every coincide. But on this journey, by the end of it, I'm sure I'm probably going to wake up one day and like forget little shit. You know what I'm saying? Or like I know I'm gonna have some sort of brain damage by the end of my journey. Do I want that to happen? No. Am I going to do everything in my power to defend myself and fight such a clean brand of fighting to where I minimize that, yes. However, the risk is there. But for what I want to do, it's a risk worth taking, you know? Um, it's like you said, if the pros have to outweigh the cons, it has to, no matter if it's financial, no matter if it's spiritual, if it's a childhood dream, whatever it is, you got to. The pros have to outweigh the cons, because I mean, just from a base standpoint, why would you do anything where the negatives is higher than the positives in anything? Like, why would you buy a stock that is plummeted? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. Just too much. You're just dumb. So, yeah, man, these young athletes, man, they need to tighten up. Rashee Rice, like I said, very disappointed. And then these leagues have to do more in investing in the young guys' well-being. And their well-being. I know they got certain things in place, like the Uber, the complimentary Ubers and all that stuff. Okay, but how about more so on like the advisory side, the mentor side, like someone that can kind of guide.
Yeah, a little less reactivity, a little more proactivity, right? Like the Uber is, that's a cool thing, and that's part of the reason why Henry Muggs even had less excuse to do what he did, But there's, like you said, that's a little bit more reactive. We need a little bit more proactivity, and we live in a very reactive society rather than a proactive one. But this is one instance where the resources can easily be allocated into it.
Right. So with that, man, as the case continues to develop, we'll be here covering it. Man, we got a lot of cases open right now. We got Rashee Rice, we got Shohei, we got Jonte Porter. Man, hey, these last couple of weeks, these last 3 weeks now, it's been just constant investigations, whether it's from the FBI, the NBA, or local PD. It's insane. But on to some college hoops. I think this might be the first time we're talking about college hoops on the podcast. But it's March Madness, of course. It's April now, but that means we're in Final Four season, and we're going to start it off by talking about the women's Final Four. It will be Iowa versus UConn and South Carolina versus North Carolina State. These are some big games. I'm not going to lie. We had how we got here. Firstly, Iowa beat LSU. Very exciting game. It shattered the record for the most watched women's college basketball game ever. So that just goes to show the eyes that were on Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and just the entire atmosphere and the stakes that were in this game. Like, this wasn't the national championship. This was the Elite Eight. So we knew one of some of these stars on both sides, Juju and them, no, I'm sorry, that's for USC. But on both of these teams aren't going to make it, And I personally enjoyed watching it. And while I was watching, I couldn't help but think this is wildly reminiscent of the women's revolution in the WWE. For those who don't remember, around 2017, we started to see the four horsemen of women's wrestling with Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch. Those were the four horsewomen of the women's revolution, because women's wrestling in the WWE has always been a pony show. It's always been, especially with this lawsuit against Vince McMahon that came out, it's been just a way to kind of have him relieve some of his sick fantasies, with them being in pudding matches and lingerie pillow fights at WrestleMania. Like, be real, it was very degrading.
This is ridiculous.
It was, you can count on your hands the amount of really great women's matches that were really good. We saw Lita versus Trish Stratus. That's one of my favorites ever. Trish Stratus versus Mickie James. Of course, Chyna. What's her name? Ivory. I think Jacqueline. She's another one back in the early 2000s. we saw little hints here and there, but nothing too serious. Of course, like AJ Lee had potential, and Beth Phoenix and Italian Allen. However, we didn't really get no real, like, they weren't taken as seriously as they did until the Four Horsewomen came around during the Women's Revolution. Same thing with women's basketball. I say that point, that comparison to say with women's basketball as a whole, not just the women's NCAA, but the WNBA as well. We just 2 months ago, it was Curry versus Sabrina at the All-Star game. You know, that was a big monumental moment for women's basketball, and now we're seeing it again with these records being shattered and all the eyes that are on these women, these young women. These are like superstars in the making, like real marketable sensations, great basketball players at that as well. This Final Four is going to be crazy with USC, University of South Carolina, NC State, and Iowa and UConn defending champs. It's going to be very crazy to see. Like South Carolina is undefeated, by the way, and they still haven't lost once this year. I think their coach is back-to-back Final Fours, I believe, first women coach, or I can't remember the exact statistic, but yeah, man, this is crazy. I enjoy it fully, though. I really compare it to the women's revolution in WWE when it's like I can be fully honest and say that the women's NC March Madness tournament has had more excitement, more hype. It's been on the top stage main event in WWE terms more than the men's March Madness tournament. I'd say that I would stand on my 2 feet on that. Say the women's
Absolutely.
bigger.
Absolutely. I mean, Caitlin Clark is, that's the easiest name to mention, but she's very obviously a needle mover. Angel's another one that comes straight to mind. Like you said, Juju Watkins, just such an influx of talent in women's basketball that is also bringing star power to it as well. I just think they're doing a excellent job. They need to continue. Hopefully, as they transition into their professional careers, the women's WNBA is able to market them as well as, like, because that's one thing is that the NCAA has done an excellent job, and Nike, Nike's done a great job of marketing Caitlin Clark. But NCAA has done a great job of just marketing them, marketing their stars, showing you who are the eye, who you should be watching,
putting it in our faces. It's going to make us want to watch.
Literally. And so I hope that is really what will kind of decide the fate of how this will turn out, how they, these superstars in the making will turn out, is how the WNBA and things of that sort are able to market them as they make their transition and as they get to the league and things of that sort. The NBA needs to work, with the WNBA on this. We had this Sabrina versus Steph. That was great for WNBA. We're seeing a lot more eyes on them. Their season's going to get started soon. I just think they need to perfect their marketing and make sure that they're able to keep the momentum going, keep this snowball rolling, because you have a lot of eyes on you right now. Now is the perfect time to establish a fan base. Now is the perfect time to get especially with these rivalries and things of that sort. Now is when you want to get these long-term viewers set up for the future. Similar to, a lot of people have made the comparison. Angel and Caitlin's kind of like the Bird and Magic of the women's basketball right now, and it is. They're needle movers. They get eyes. They draw eyes. They're trash talk, the rivalry, all of that stuff, and you just need to keep playing into that. Make sure that these eyes stay locked in on your stars.
Yeah, you can't fold this momentum, and because the talent is there. Absolutely. The talent is there. You can't sit up there and say that these players suck. That's always been a horrible critique of women's basketball. Oh, they can't do the same stuff that NBA players do. No shit. No shit. That's why we're biologically different. However, you can't look at that and say that's not good basketball, though, right? Like, you just saw Caitlin Clark put up 41 points and 9 3-pointers, which is I think the most in NCAA tournament history. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't the most. It was tied. It was the 9 3-pointers tied the record. So the talent is there. The numbers are there. They had the LSU Iowa game. It averaged 12.3 million views and peaked at 16 million viewers. 16 million at the highest. And then the UConn USC game was 6.7 million viewers.
Yeah, that sold out. That's higher than any NBA Finals game last year, except for Game 5.
See, so we want to watch it. We, the consumers, want to watch it. We got Angel going to the league. We got Caitlin going to the league. We are going. We see these stars are going to carry right over. And the WNBA, the NBA needs to do their due diligence as well as keeping us going. Continue to make it to where we want to tune in and watch. I don't know if there needs to be a fix in the draft. I'm not gonna lie. They need to fix the draft to where Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese will be playing each other as many times as possible. And not end up anywhere where they only play few times. No, definitely nowhere on the same team. They need to play as many times as possible.
I don't know. How does the bracketing work for that? Because how do you end up with them in the same quadrant that they're going against each other in the Elite Eight? They should be going against each other way later than that. They shouldn't be seeing each other until they make it they would both have to make the championship or something like that. And I mean, I get you want, I guess it's kind of you want them in case both teams don't make the championship, you would want them to play each other at least once. So I do kind of understand that, but I just think at least make it like Final Four or something, not have them playing so early. And then Juju Watkins is also probably one of the bigger names. She didn't get the chance to go against either of them. So I think they kind of, the seeding was a little interesting there. I think they could have done it a little bit better. But regardless, we still got this a very talented Final Four. Like you said, South Carolina hasn't lost. UConn, obviously Iowa, Caitlin is still doing her thing. NC State, which is in the Final Four in both men's and women's. Yeah. So they got a lot to root for, a basketball school over there. But I just think it's they can't let this snowball die out. They have to absolutely capitalize on this momentum. The WNBA, I don't care if they need to work with Nike directly, whatever they got to do to get this, keep these eyes on your stars, they need to do it.
Yeah, man. It lived up to the hype for sure. That was a good game. Absolutely. There was a couple times where like LSU was going to make a comeback and they were going to, Caitlin kept hitting them threes, and now that's what killed them. Because man, I know from like a fan's perspective of like, oh, I appreciate it. I know it from the opposite, where when Curry or Clay would shoot, and it's like okay, I know he's going to get at least 5 of them, but if they can spread them out, you know what I'm saying?
Not just a regular right at the line threes. It's the threes.
I'm playing good defense on her. And she's just pulling that bitch, and she's making it, and she's just chucking that shit up too. You would never think that she would be shooting as good as she does with her shot form, but it goes in so cash money, and it's so deflating.
Yeah, it is one of the most demoralizing. I've always said that about Curry's threes. Some of his threes are the most demoralizing threes in sports because they come at a time where it's like, especially, and that was one thing about Jokic last year, right? Those BS threes that he was throwing up on AD.
Over AD.
When he guarded him perfectly.
Cool. I still watch those things. I'm just like, what is this doing,
bro? He was guarding him perfectly for 23.5 seconds. And then that 1/2 second, they throw something up. Caitlin Clark is entering that range where it's just a demoralizing. You come down, you think you're doing good defense, and then they just throw it away. It appears that they just throw it up and it goes straight in. So that's one of the things about her game that kind of mimics Curry there, that she's just a demoralizer when she gets going.
Like you just see it and you start like you said. I know that some of these players are going to get 5 3-pointers. So I'm going to account for them getting at least 15 off threes. And I'm going to save them at least 30, right? If I can hold Caitlin Clark, if I can hold Curry, if I can hold any of these really sharp, like very high-level star players that are also really good at shooting threes, so under 30 points, that is a successful night. You know what I'm saying? But once they start tipping over that 5 3-pointer mark, and it's 6, 7, 8, 9, like it's like, dude, that's 27 points off of just threes.
Yeah.
It's hard to come back when someone's shooting that hot. It's hard to, and then the
Angel
rest of the
Reese
team was
tweaked
playing
her.
well too.
Yeah, Angel tweaked her ankle, and it negatively affected her. She was still dominant on the glass. She had 17 rebounds.
2020 double.
Yeah, she had 17 rebounds. But she started really hot. And part of it was that they started to double her. She was on a bad ankle, and they just tried to make her other teammates beat her, which is what they counted on. And a lot of teammates were missing open shots, taking bad shots, things of that sort. So it didn't work out for them. You know, when it comes down to single elimination games, and I say this about the NFL as well, single elimination games are so scary because anything can happen. In one game, you have no chance to, like Angel tweaked her ankle. You can't recover from that without it being another game. So it's like that's one of the things about single elimination, that is just anything can happen. And I it's entertaining, of course, but it's just you do wonder what could have been. You're always going to wonder what could have been when certain injuries happen. But
Right.
it's definitely the entertainment factor is absolutely there. I'm going to be tuning into the Final Four. I don't even watch college basketball. We watched it last year, the Final Four, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it was trash hoops, bro. That was trash hoops. And I could tell the winner, whoever, I literally said it that day, the winner between was it San Diego State and whoever they played,
Miami.
I knew they were gonna lose in the finals. Mm-hmm. That was just obvious. Like they literally they didn't look like a competent basketball team. It was trash. It was bad hoops, bro. It was bad hoops. But this is different. Like this is where it's actually entertaining to watch, and that's the thing why they need to capitalize it.
Right. And it's shout out Flau'jae Johnson. Shout out LSU. She did a really good job in that third. And like I said, if she wasn't on a bum ankle, if she didn't foul out the game, they were keeping up. They were keeping pace with Iowa.
Yeah, back to like 6 points, 6, 7.
Yeah, in the third quarter, they was keeping pace with them. Until Angel Reese fouled out. That's when she found out. I was like, yeah. That's a wrap.
Writing on the wall.
Yeah, that's a wrap. 6 fouls. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm very excited for the Final Four, and I'm excited for women's basketball. I like good hoops. You know what I'm saying? I tune into WNBA very occasionally, not very often, but it's occasionally. But with this new breed of stars that are seem to be ushering into the league soon, it's going to make me want to watch it more. It's going to make me want to watch it more. I just would like to see women, be able to get the proper chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't sit up here and truthfully say that the WNBA was set up to be as successful as they can. No, absolutely. Of course, not. Yes, the NBA used to get or gives them money to kind of keep them afloat and to balance out some of the revenue loss and all this and that. But like, let's be real though, they were never like really put on a pedestal to where it's like, hey, y'all come watch the WNBA. It was always just, oh well, we have the WNBA. I mean, if you're interested, they're not forcing you to watch it, but that's kind of how they were doing it.
Yeah, it's around if you want to check it out. But now it's gotten to a point where they have to say, no, come watch. Like it's not.
Yeah,
don't give them some good shit. Yeah, don't give people an option. Tell them you're gonna want to watch that. Make sure build the FOMO of it. Like you don't want to be the one to miss this exciting game. So
right, and it's always great when the players are there to like show why. Like I always think back. I always like drawing parallels. We saw it with the WWE, right? 4 horsewomen. It's very similar to this. We can look Sabrina, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Juju. We'll call them the 4 horsewomen of women's basketball right now. All very young, all very talented. Same thing with the UFC. When Dana White has publicly said that women would never fight for the UFC. He said that before. Until Ronda Rousey, he said women would never fight for the UFC. Until Ronda Rousey started making noise. He brought her in, gave her the title off jump, and Ronda Rousey showed why she showed why women's mixed martial arts is a real thing. It's worthy of being on pay-per-view. It's worthy of y'all's viewership. And then here comes Amanda Nunes and Holly Holmes and Misha Tate. And then after them, here comes Joanna and Jurczyk. And we, oh my God, we can never forget that fight between Joanna and Jurczyk and
Shevchenko?
no, what's her name, bro? Wei Li Zhang.
Oh,
Jean
Whaley.
Whaley.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, oh my goodness. When I talk about one of the greatest fights I've ever seen,
First one was
man. And then of course Rose Namajunas and Valentina Shevchenko. That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, these athletes, yeah, like these athletes are like they're worthy of y'all's viewership. Don't look down on them just because it's women in a male-dominated sport. I have that same feeling with women's basketball that I'm getting from this tournament, and I love it. 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 I love it.
Yeah, I mean, being a sports fan, being a basketball fan, it's so it really it shows who really loves the game and who really loves certain players, I guess, or who doesn't really love. Because if you like basketball, if you really like basketball, it doesn't matter who's hooping. If it's good hoops, it's good hoops. But the same with MMA. It shows who really wants to just watch good fighting. But there's certain people that, like you said, they look down on it because it's women's, things of that sort. And I think that shows that you don't really love the sport you're watching.
It shows that you're an incel. Shows that you don't get no bitches, no hoes, no paper. I stand on that too.
Yeah,
I'm laughing, but I'm not.
I agree with you. It's a joke, but it ain't.
Like,
You definitely get, especially if you're looking down on them just because they're women. At that point, obviously, aside from the obvious sexism, that's just, you're like you said, just kind of loser shit. But
you're a loser.
Yeah, but it's
a loser.
Like we said about this tournament. I think it's only going to get better in my eyes. Obviously that was a much awaited matchup, but I think it's these last two, last three games are going to really, show out. And I'm excited. I'm fully a Caitlin Clark fan. I like her game. She reminds me, obviously, we have the obvious parallels of Steph Curry, things of that sort. And I just think she's a very entertaining player, straight up. She's a very entertaining player. She's obviously not doing flashy dunks, but then just seeing her come down the court and, like you said, throw up what almost looks like to be a perfectly contested three and have it go in and things of that sort. And I think her entertainment factor is just as exciting as her name and things of that sort.
Yeah, it is. I'm very excited for this Final Four. I'm very excited for this women's basketball, like I said. Now on the other side of the tournament, we got the Final Four for the men's NCAA tournament. And hey, man, shout out. Firstly, I'm just going to get off the matchups. It's going to be NC State versus Purdue and Alabama versus defending champions UConn. Man, DJ Burns repping for all the big boys out there. I ain't going to hold you. Man, DJ Burns out here popping his shit. He just he beat an upset against Duke in the Elite Eight. He said that North Carolina's the 11th seed. They're playing against the number 1 seed Purdue in their bracket. So they've been underdogs this entire time. However, DJ Burns and crew have been saying, okay, bump that. And if you look at how firstly, DJ Burns over here getting praise and compliments from Nikola Jokic, who plays not a very similar, I don't say similar all the way, but they're similarly built, at least in the past. Their post, you can see shades of post finesse there with DJ Burns. Not only that, DJ Burns, first he's gonna find his teammates too, and he's a lefty. That is so like such a secret hack in sports, period. Maybe not for quarterback, but it's such a secret hack in sports to be left-handed. We see it like if you're left-handed and you're in sports, you're most likely going to be known. You're probably going to have some success in a league. Period. I just found out today that Chris Bosh was left-handed. Did not know that.
The whole thing with Bron is that he's left-handed and he just shoots right. I obviously that doesn't obviously we're talking about being left-handed in the sport, and obviously shooting is a major aspect, but still being left-handed means you could go both ways. If you're left-handed, you can shoot right. That means you're reliable with your left. And I mean, obviously LeBron is reliable with his left. We've seen that over 20 years, but you know what I'm saying? Like you said, lefty, most pitchers in the MLB are righty. Lefties are dominant because you can see the ball coming out the hand longer. That's why going against, that's why you have switch hitters and things of that sort, because you can see you have the advantage coming across the plate. That's why you see a lot of guys that even field righty. They're right-handed. They'll field righty, but they bat lefty because they literally teach themselves at an early age, because you have that advantage.
Yep. Fighters do the same thing. I have taught myself, and of course with coaching and everything, but from the jump, I just said I want to learn southpaw one day. I just want to learn southpaw. I just started punching with my right hand forward, left hand is my power hand, and through repetition, through muscle memory, through drills and sparring, now I ain't gonna lie to you, I could beat somebody up straight southpaw, even though I am a orthodox right hand dominant person. I'm a right with my right hand. So man, being a left-handed person, or being able to switch, being able to have that finesse with both hands, because it literally is inverted, and there's so many more openings that come from that perspective, like from literally an inverted perspective.
Shout out Ronald Bell.
Yeah, man, Ronald.
I hate hooping him, bro. He got the scoop with the lefty, bro. He be going crazy with that.
Anytime Ronald was on a podcast before, but he anytime I defend him, and I think I time my block right. I jump up and the ball's already up in the air, and I'm just this far away from it. This far away.
Super badge on Hall of Fame, man. But like you said, that's come from him being a lefty. The timing is just so slightly off in everything. It's just all about what you're usually preparing for. You're usually preparing for the opposite, and like you said, inverted. It's just a matter of preparation. It's not something that most people, most athletes, that especially those that aren't top guys, are going to be prepared for.
Yep. Look at James Harden, said Chris Bosh. Look at Manu Ginobili. Hey, it's there. I don't know why it's not like that for quarterbacks. Like Tua has been struggling all his career in the NFL.
I mean, Mike Vick was lefty, but
Mike Vick, he wasn't even known as a very great thrower.
One of the bigger things is with throwing the ball lefty, and obviously receivers, you're supposed to be able to catch anything. There's a difference catching a lefty spiral versus a righty spiral. That was one of the bigger things about Alabama, how they did that in the championship. They put in the backup receivers because the two guys work with Tua, and they're used to catching the lefty spiral. So you got lefty spiral going to guys that normally are used to catching righty spirals. It feels different. I felt it. It does feel different. That, and then also it's just kind of, you're relying on now you're relying on your right tackle. And depending on what the play is, plays can be left, right, all sorts of stuff, but you just don't see offenses called in favor. You basically have to flip everything. Like even when I'm playing Madden and I have to flip the play because I have a lefty quarterback, I did a franchise mode with Tua, and I had to flip almost every play that was passing play. It just felt wrong. Like just looking at the play felt weird. It's most people are not used, like even running routes, having to look over your right shoulder for a lefty quarterback versus having to look over your left shoulder, which is much easier. It's just that's one of the big things about lefty quarterbacks that don't always translate.
Man, I tried playing with the Dolphins on Madden. I had to trade Tua away on my franchise. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't even use Mike Vick in Ultimate Team because of the whole lefty thing. It's just like play action is ugly. It's just like there's so much.
It's just ugly. Literally what it is, just ugly. It took me, even for playing UFC games, it was a while, probably years, probably like UFC 2 days, man. When UFC 2, there was a time where I didn't like using Anderson Silva. I didn't like using Conor McGregor. I didn't like using these southpaw fighters because it was just I had an idea of what the buttons were in my head because I fight with my dominant right hand. And then just to have that shit switch, none of my combos were smooth. It took me a while to get used to it. Same thing with actual real life fighting. It took me a while for me to get it to where now my 1-2 combo from southpaw is quicker than my 1-2 combo from orthodox. It's so weird. Dustin Poirier, he does the same thing. He's a right-handed guy, but he fights southpaw. So when he punches you with that jab, he's punching you with his power hand. He's punching you full force power hand. And that's why it just looks like he hits so hard when he doesn't hit super fast or anything. But yeah, it's very interesting how that works. Like I said, man, for my advice to any athlete, learn how to be ambidextrous. Learn. It's been a running joke for Jaylen Brown. He can't dribble left. He put the ball in his left hand. He's gonna turn the ball over. It's been a joke. He's worked on that. A little bit better.
You don't even have to be a professional athlete for that. I mean, I've been working on doing left. Literally just casually hooping at the park, bro. Whenever I'm just dribbling, just casually dribbling the ball, I started doing it with my left just because doing it with my right was so instinctual, trying to get better with my left. And it's just a matter of, especially if you're, like you said, professional athlete, having that versatility, being able to switch it up is definitely important.
Yeah, think about it too. That's a whole aspect of a sport you are neglecting to have. It's the left side of the court is there for a reason. Left side of
it's biggest in basketball because it's so obviously in something like baseball, being a switch hitter is good, but there's you can be a dominant hitter from just one side of the plate and things of that sort. But
it's the same thing with fighting. There's some people where I never see them leave their traditional stance.
I would say it's bigger in fighting than basketball, honestly. It's very close.
I've seen fighters, boxing, MMA, be dominant in just one striking position until, then you really see if you can switch stances as well, you're opening up so many different openings for a knockout, for a takedown, for kicks. It's just insane how it's like that. Post moves in basketball. It's just it's crazy how if you can get very competent with both hands, left, right, left side of of your body, right side of your body, knowing body mechanics for any sport, it's just crazy how much of an advantage that is. Because some people aren't. They get so good at just one thing where it's like, I don't need that. It's fine. I'm not going to go left. Or if I do go left, I'm gonna make sure I finish right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's what's I think I saw a clip. It was like a viral clip years ago of some ambidextrous quarterback. I don't think he made it anywhere.
Yeah, I saw that. I know what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't remember his name or anything like that. But
I wonder how that would be too. Now that would be fucking weird to be scheming for a right-handed quarterback and this man comes out into the formation throwing the ball left-handed.
Then again, I don't, because I saw a play. Who is it? Lamar earlier this year where he did a drop back lefty and it threw the defense off.
Mm-hmm. I saw that as well. Yeah,
and he froze the defense for a second. So maybe that would be.
Another thing too, where it possibly could help is, what do they say? Don't let Patrick Mahomes roll right.
That's what I said. Rollouts.
Don't let Lamar Jackson roll right. Maybe Lamar Jackson's a little different because that nigga will cut you up left both sides. But Patrick Mahomes is the best example. Don't let him roll right because he's going to take off. Don't let Josh Allen roll right. So being able to learn how to throw crossbody, maybe that's not the best throw, of course, but
the quarterback it just does not translate as well as
not as much. But there's you know what I'm saying, there's possibilities there. I'm sure we're gonna find somebody who innovates it to where it's like,
one day somebody will come along.
It's time to work on your left hand, son. We're gonna get to the league. I'm sure it's gonna be some quarterback that comes out and it's just tears up the defense from both sides, whether it's throwing the ball, rolling left, and he's right-handed. Read options left, read options right. It's gonna be something crazy.
It would be problematic for sure. It'd be hard to implement that.
So getting back to the men's NCAA tournament, and also kind of looping in the topic from last week, that shit with the Purdue player with the gambling. and the prop bets.
Oh
What did we
yeah,
say?
absolutely.
What did we say?
Oh,
We need
first,
to.
yeah,
These prop bets are so stupid, and we're
and this,
only scratching the surface of
yeah, this
what
one
this
was,
gambling shit is going to have an effect on the sports world.
yeah, this one wasn't even a prop bet. It was mainly for the, it was the was spread. They were 27. Basically, the story, they were 20. Purdue was a 27-point favorite against Grambling, and one of the players hit a three at the end of the game to make it a 28-point victory. And because of that, somebody DM'd him on social media, not sure, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. They DM'd him. You sure are a son of a bitch. Hope you enjoy selling cars for the rest of your life. I hope you effing die. Kill yourself for taking that three, you effing worthless loser. Slit your effing throat, you effing da, 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 da. Was completely uncalled for. You know, there's a whole bunch of nonsense. And this is, like you said, what we said is the dangers of gambling. And this is, you know, this is someone who's in college, so they're not gonna have the same protection. You know, they're not gonna have security like a potential NBA or, you know, superstar will in a different league. This is just a college kid who probably isn't gonna make the league. So now you
Yeah,
got,
I was just about to say that it's not just any college player. You know what I'm saying? Like some players are a little bit more popular and more well known than others. This got the kid's name who got those messages. His name is Carson Barrett. He tore his meniscus earlier in the season. He he was a walk on, number one. He's a walk on, and he made it to the team as on Purdue, the Purdue Boilermakers, a big D1 school for basketball. He hasn't seen a lot of play time in his career this season. He only played about like 21 minutes total, but he knows that, you know, he doesn't have too many chances to get on the court before his career is, you know what I'm saying, his college playing career is over. So he delayed the meniscus surgery, and he decided to come onto the court. Right, he played. He scored 6 total points this season. 6. This man wants to just enjoy these memories that he's making with his teammates, with his brothers, something that he will never be able to do again. Right, and when he shot that three, um, and he made it, and he gets those messages. Do you know how like batshit crazy you have to be to go out, purposely find this kid's Instagram or Twitter or whatever and send those messages over a made three? It is insane. It is insane over a bet, something that you took that risk on, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so silly that they're betting on college students,
yeah,
college
I
kids.
didn't even. That is one thing I really never understand. Betting on college is kind of crazy. Like, it's one thing to bet on professional athletes. You're betting on college students. These guys
Bro,
have class in the morning. You don't know what homework they have.
dude, when there's been multiple times now, I'm about 9 fights deep in my amateur Muay Thai career. For the last 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, I've had some people I know, some people I don't, come up to me and say, "Dude, you won me some money. I'm an amateur fighter, and you're betting on me." Okay, yeah, it might not be
Yeah,
through a
hotline.
bookie or whatever, but you might be individual bets, you know what I'm saying, peer to peer, but you're still betting on an amateur. Like, I'm cool. I'm glad I won you some money, but I wonder if what the hell would have happened if I didn't. You gonna walk up to me and say, "Oh, fuck you, you should have won. I bet my money." Like, I just wonder. Like, it's so odd. You're gonna bet on college basketball of all things, the most unpredictable sport there probably is.
I would never bet on a fucking March Madness. I don't bet at all, but if I did, I would not bet on March Madness. The type of stuff we've seen
Dude,
in March Madness, I definitely wouldn't
I
bet
would
on.
never bet on college football and March Madness. I've seen too much crazy shit happen in those two, putting those two leagues right there. NFL, yeah, NBA, definitely, but dude, in college
MLB
sports,
is
it's
just
too
random.
raw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. I don't bet, but I if I did, I absolutely would not come even sniff college sports because they're just too, like I said, you don't know what homework these guys are dealing with, right? Like there's just so much that goes in there, and they're just so crazy, especially not no damn March Madness. It's literally called March Madness. Like this we've seen the most insane plays happen in March Madness. So I would never get it. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I was at the park hooping, and I heard they were high schoolers talking about, oh, I need Anthony Davis to get 12 points and 8 rebounds. What? This is a high schooler talking about this, bro. And like you said, it messes up their appreciation for the game because now you're looking at basketball going off of we're getting super heavy in the stats instead of just watching the game, which is the whole thing in itself. But B, now you're not even watching the game to watch the game, or you're not paying attention to the sport for the game. You're paying attention to the game for money. And you can't enjoy a sport when you're constantly looking to make sure bro hit 10 points.
I was at the gym and I saw somebody doing that, and I'm just like, dude, that's crazy. In between your sets, you're over here checking prize picks. Like, really?
That's
Shit's
wild.
crazy.
That's
I
wild.
just don't get it. But last month, Temple, they had an investigation over betting irregularities. What's his name? Let me see. I had his name up here. NCAA President Charlie Baker. Last week, he asked for a ban on prop bets involving players. So like I said, man, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and this iceberg can go really, really deep. And we all know the deeper the iceberg goes, the worse the shit is. It's if you get to the bottom of the iceberg, you really fucked up. Like, how do we get here? Type shit. So and then of course, with the NCAA hosting tournaments in Las Vegas, in 2028, the Final Four is going to be there. So just imagine how that's going to be. And then with social media being so prominent, it's just want to open up more avenues for like this hatred being spewed towards players. Like, why, as a body, as an athletic body, why do you want to expose these players to it? Like, why? And what, about 38, 39 states have betting legal? It's the majority of the country, and it's only going to continue to grow. It's only until we get all 50. It's just silly. I hate it so much. I hate it. It's getting to a point where it's like gambling is becoming like public enemy number one for me. Sports gambling. I want to go to
Absolutely.
the casino and bet on roulette.
It's
Um,
too regular. It's
you know
too
what
it's
I'm
too
saying?
accepted. Like it's one
Yeah.
thing. Like it's existed. It's existed. Like we know it existed. But now that it's just become ease of access, and then B, like I said, I was with some high schoolers. It's not even legal in Georgia, and then it's not even legal under 18. So now I'm talking about high schoolers who, like you said, probably fabricated their information or betting on one that doesn't verify their age. And now you got kids, literal kids in this vice that can lead to a lot of have a lot of negative outcomes. So it's just it's terrible for sports. It's bad on an individual micro level. It's bad on a macro level. Obviously there's going to be winners, but that doesn't take away from all the losers.
You know what's crazy too about the high schoolers thing? It's like, we know how addictions form. It really starts young. If it's from either some sort of trauma or exposure to something, alcohol addicts, like if you start drinking when you're 16, 17 at parties, you're at a higher likelihood of continuing that habit as you get older and increasing that habit because of tolerance, because of then access and all that stuff. Smoking, same thing. Why don't we throw gambling in there too? Like you said, these high schoolers are doing this shit right now with either their parents' money or their little minimum wage from McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or Foot Locker or whatever. And what I can bet you their mentality is, oh, I can flip this. I can flip this money. You know what I'm saying? I can flip this money and turn my check into $1,000 off of this parlay. That's what it is. It's like, it's just the allure. It's the allure. And that's what all vices have. All vices have as some sort of allure, whether it's pleasure, whether it's feel good, whether it's financial freedom, whether it's an escape, all vices have some sort of allure to them. But yeah, with gambling, it's quote unquote financial freedom. But we know it's not financial freedom because who has ever won something super big and then said, all right, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not gonna take that chance again. Most people like it happened once, it can happen again. That's always how it goes. Always.
Yeah.
So
And it's just, I mean, we could talk forever about our negative opinions on gambling, but we'll move on for podcast
time's
purposes.
sake and just guess what? We need some more. We're gonna have to save some more opinions for the next gambling fucking scandal that comes out in the future.
Next week.
Like some other batshit crazy damn instance of a fan doing something stupid to a player. It happens. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to. And it's sad that I have that pessimism as far as that's concerned. But let's move on. Let's talk about some baseball. We've talked about baseball a couple of times. Talked about the regular season preview a few months ago. We talked about Shohei Ohtani last week and his betting scandal that is still under investigation. This week we're gonna talk about some actual play. MLB Opening week. I watched a few games. Watched the Braves beat up on the Phillies, winning that series. You know what I'm saying? They might have won the playoffs last year and the year before that. But that's we don't care about that. We don't care because it's a new year. You know what I'm saying? Who did we bring back? We brought back Jesse Chavez. You know what I'm saying? The glue piece to this team. And what's the other buddy's name? Austin. Was it Austin Riley or I'm thinking of somebody else?
I think they did give Austin Riley. No, he already had a contract. Was it Matt Olson who got a contract? I don't remember exactly who got a contract, but they got somebody. I know they signed Jared Klenick. That was one of them. But
hey, it's a long season, long baseball season. But the Braves will be in the World Series this year. And hey, I have a feeling Jesse Chavez is there. We need Will Smith back on the roster too. We need Will Smith back on the roster. We need what's his name too?
Great.
No, what's that man's name that was pitching in the World Series that literally almost blew the fucking series for us, bro?
In the World Series or the championship series, the NLCS. That was
series.
Luke Jackson. Who's on our team, who blew a lead. Thankfully blew a lead last week for us. Who's on the Giants? I got the shirt on right now, but who had a infinite ERA with us because he gave up 3 runs without recording an out. But dude, that's fine.
Luke Jackson is still like on my hit list. Like as far as people I do not like him at all.
It took Tyler Mattek having an all-time playoff moment to come back from
Literally cannot make up one single mistake. Literally cannot fuck up once because of how Luke Jackson played. Oh my goodness. When we were at the Battery and we were watching it and they will play Luke Jackson's like walkout and they'll show his face and his, oh my God, his facial hair made me upset. It was just horrible.
My team signed them fun.
But yeah, MLB Opening week. So give me what's your takeaways? I know you said the Yankees swept the Astros.
Yep, Yankees swept the Astros. They're looking like they might be. I said before the season, I don't know if Juan Soto is a needle mover. I might be eating my words on that one. We'll have to see as the series, obviously long 162 game season. Nobody wins the World Series in 5 games, but we're gonna have to see how they play out. But it looks like the Yankees could really be making some noise this year.
So, question. As far as that's concerned, when is it officially like too early to get hype over a team? Like, because in basketball, in football, if you win 5 games straight, these Super Bowl favorites and this and that, we'll get hype over a 5-game win streak, 4-game win streak. Same thing in basketball. And we can see how quickly the tables can turn. Baseball is the longest season in all professional sports. So when is it too early to like really to get too invested into a team or to buy into the hype?
It's more so, I mean, when is it too early, or like when would I say like it's legit? Are you saying like when would I say like it's long enough to say it's legit?
Yeah, like when is it like, like these are serious teams? Like, all right, this isn't like just okay, they've been doing this for a consistent amount of time. This is
I
a
would
real
say similar to NBA, where it's kind of about all-star break. That's when you kind of will start to see who is legit and who's not. It's more so, because the way baseball works, nobody else has it where you're going against the same opponent 3-4 nights in a row. So you can't look at a 3-game, 4-game win streak and be like, oh, this is, if you play the Athletics 4 games in a row, that's not impressive that you swept them, or because they're a tanking team. They literally optioned out, and this was something I was going to mention later, but they optioned down their best player to AAA because he was doing too good. So like that's, you have to look at it comes down to matchups. That's the most important. I think it's mainly matchups. That's what I would say is who are you beating? Like if you're beating just a bunch of bottom feeder teams, it doesn't mean much. But if you're winning series against the Braves and you're winning series against the Rangers coming up in the World Series, you're winning series against the Dodgers and things of that sort, that's when you can start to look at not just individual wins in a series, because with the way it works, you can have your best pitcher going against their worst pitcher, and that's just how it lined up on the schedule. And that's why the thing about baseball is that there's so many variables that go into every single game, and that's why it's kind of hard to say who's legit. But I think it's just sort of more, you just kind of have to look at the matchups on an individual level, and that's when you can kind of determine what the legitimacy of a team, because it's just there's so many variables when it comes to baseball, and it's really just kind of team statistics are bigger in baseball. I would say if your ERA, if you have a high pitching or you have a high team ERA, obviously pitching is just your weakness. It's your weakness as a team. If you have a low team OPS, then hitting is your weakness as a team. So I think it's more so team stats, and then who are you beating? What matchups are you winning?
Okay, I was always wondering about that. That does make sense though. So okay, yeah, congratulations. Like you said, if you beat the damn Oakland Athletics, like all right, congratulations. What do you want? You want a cookie? So
Exactly. Like you
it's
swept them, thank you, or there you go. But
right.
congrats.
Like
But it's
they need to just blow that team up. Just
well, what they're doing is the owner's tanking so that he's spending as little money as possible before they go to Vegas, because they're going to
yeah,
Vegas in 2028. But it's like,
we still a long ass way away from that.
exactly. And it's like it's a disservice to the fans of the city who've been supporting that team for however many decades at this point. I don't even know.
Right, they're not even trying.
Yeah, and then like not even trying, you're actively sabotaging.
Like
They
that's
sent down
getting in
their
my
best
face.
player to AAA. That is sabotage. He has 67 steals last year. He started off with like a 429 batting average this year, and they optioned him to AAA. And it's like, if you're gonna do that, at least for his personal sake, release the dude. Because now
Yeah.
he's in AAA for no reason. At least trade him, release him, do something. And that's why they traded Matt Olson. He was too good. They traded him to the
Mm-hmm.
Braves for pennies.
Yeah.
Sean
Boy, he was
Murphy,
so good for us
they
last
let
year.
him. That's another one that went to the Braves. At this point, Oakland A's is the Braves farm team. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's just a matter of it's active sabotage. It's one thing to be bad. It's another thing to sabotage the team, and that's what's
Yeah.
going on in Oakland.
I wonder if we're gonna see any stories come out from some of these players post Oakland A's career, like
Oh,
on some
absolutely.
podcast somewhere, or
I wouldn't
leaking
be
some
surprised.
stories. Man, it's gonna be an inside look at how garbage that franchise is. But so yeah, I know Yankees swept the Astros. That's pretty big. Considering that the Astros have been perennial World Series favorites for the past how many years?
Since probably 2017.
Right, it's been a very long time. So we're gonna start off this season getting swept by the Yankees. Um, that's pretty big. What else do you think? I know the Braves. We play very well. The Dodgers as well.
Yeah, the Braves, the Orioles, they led the AL East last year. They're looking like they're probably gonna be a top contender. They're kind of on a little bit of a war path, so to speak. Even though they're 3-2, their wins were very dominant. Mike Trout and the Angels. I feel bad for Mike Trout. We might have another year. He hit a 473-foot home run, which is nuts. That's crazy. But it looks like it might be one of those seasons again for the Angels where Mike Trout has plays at an MVP level with no help around him and nothing's going to come from it. So that's one thing, the AL West. And then the NL Central, the Pirates starting 5-0, Brewers starting 4-0. We just got a lot of
I would say Milwaukee looked good too.
Yeah, the NL East, I will say the NL East is probably going to be objectively the worst league this year, which is good news for you, because the Braves will probably win it very easily. But the Nationals suck. The Mets are trash. Marlins are trash. Marlins are 0-6. Mets are 0-4.
I
Nationals
wonder how the Mets
0-3.
became trash. I wonder what was the catalyst for this collapse. I wonder who was the catalyst to this collapse.
Yeah, so that's they're just not they're in a terrible space right now. The NL East in general is just in a very terrible space. The AL East looks like it's going to be the most competitive division yet again. But yeah, it's just.
What do you think? Do you think that bodes well being in a weak division? Like, because I know in basketball divisions don't really matter, not as much as we would like them to. In football, you play your division twice, twice every year, or 2 games against each team every year, and that's kind of like a if you're in the trash division and you're the only good team, well, you just beat. Let's say you win against all of your division rivals. That's 6-0 against trash teams. How big is that play into the MLB? Like, is it good to be in a weak division, or would you rather have some type of competition in there?
I would say kind of a little bit of both. For the Braves' sake, they probably were going to win the division no matter how strong it is. Yeah, so that's one thing where they're just clearing away the best. But you're going to be playing these guys going into the playoffs, so that could be a chance to get hot. But then at the same time, that could also be a chance where you're going against inferior talent, and now you're cold, or you're not ready going into the playoffs to face the type of pitching that you're going to face. Also, in terms of like beating, if you're going against, like I said, you mainly play division rivals at the end of the season, and this is one thing that kind of we said about last year's Braves is that you're resting your starters this late in the season. In baseball, when you get to the playoffs, it's not even about who has the best roster. It's about who's hot. And we've seen that multiple times over the last decade. That it doesn't matter how good your roster is if they're not hot. And that's one thing about the Braves, is that they went into the the playoffs cold because they had to rest their starters because they had won the division by like game 140 something. So that's one big negative, is that you're going against inferior talent, and you're not going to be hot going into the playoffs. And that, like I said, the Braves, we kind of see that claim to bite them in consecutive years. It's kind of come to bite them.
Right, and you can compare that to 2021, where the Braves entered the playoffs hot, the hottest team in the league.
They had to fight. They got it out the mud. They had to. We were at the Phillies game. They were like 3 games away from like the end of the season when they won the banner. So they had to get it out the mud.
It's very like a stark, polarizing difference. Like from 2 consecutive years, and then 2021, you enter the season hot, where you're literally fighting for your life every game, and you have to stay at your peak level. Versus you won the division, and now you can you're on chill mode. You think this is your time to play.
Last little bit of the season. Now you're cold going into the playoffs, and it's just that's literally kind of been the argument the last 2 years. And this year they tried to make it an emphasis, or like last season, they tried to make it an emphasis to get these guys their reps late in the season, but then it's just it doesn't work out, because even then they would get like two at bats, and then they put the pinch hitter in because of risk of injury. So now you're risking injury, and it's kind of just it does put you at a little bit of an advantage if you don't have enough competition, or a little bit of a disadvantage if you don't have enough competition at the end of the season.
Yeah. So that was just something I always wondered. I always wondered that, like, it's it makes sense what you're saying because it's the same in basketball. It's the same in football because you don't want to measure yourself over weak opponents. Like you don't want
Absolutely.
to build a false sense of like, oh man, we just dominated these teams, and then they're teams that never had a chance to begin with. Like you don't want that to be the standard that you're holding yourself to.
Yeah.
Um, so I what you're saying is you would like to finish what is most important for the baseball season is All-Star break to the post All-Star. That's where we really see who's real and who's not.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's when all the, seating starts to get finalized and things of that sort. You start to see who's leading conference, or, who's going to be in the playoffs, who's some certain teams that should be making the playoffs miss it, and certain teams that should be missing and are going to make it, things of that sort. But yeah, it's really about it. And that's what the thing about baseball is, where it's so much different than either sport, especially football. Because football is once a week. It's stretches of the season where you have to, and this is where you kind of, I had the question is, what does a manager really do in baseball? Because they it's not like basketball. You're not calling plays. You don't even call pitches. They're not calling
Right.
pitches. They're not calling plays. You don't tell hitters. Hitters listen to their hitting coach. Like they don't really do much from an actual game, in game perspective. But it's about managing heat levels, managing who's hot and who's not, and how to build the
Mm,
lineup based on who is doing great. Should we have this player lead off because he's doing excellent in the leadoff position, versus when he's lower in the lineup, he's not doing as well, or he has higher OPS against righties versus lefties and things of that sort. So it's just a matter of building, managing, how who's hot and who's not, and that's baseball in general is really just about these stretches. How do you maintain these stretches? How do you manage these stretches? Because you're going to have high points and you're going to have low points in the season.
right. I didn't really think about it from that perspective either. Like, what does a manager do? But I mean, that's a lot. Like, you got a lot on your plate too. Like, you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Like, that ain't nothing. Ain't
I
nothing
mean,
to be
you got to kind
envious
of,
of.
it's not like it's a video game either. These guys have real lives. So if a
Yeah.
guy is going through a divorce, maybe he's not, maybe you don't start him, or maybe you don't, you don't want to kill his confidence. But if he's going through a divorce, obviously his mind isn't going to be fully focused on baseball, and especially in baseball at the plate, it's such a mental game. It's a lot more of a mental game than a lot of people know. It is literally a chess match every single pitch. So it's, maybe you don't start this guy, or maybe you don't put him first in the lineup because he's got some off the field issues that he's dealing with and things of that sort. So it's a lot more. You got to deal with people's feelings. It's a lot that goes into building a lineup on a night by night basis.
Man, and that's why I say shout out Brian Snicker for 2021. Him having
Yeah,
to
he
manage
killed it,
that
man. He
pitching
killed
rotation of Will Smith, Luke Jackson, Max Fried, Tyler Matzek, bro. Like it was. I don't know how he did it. That was lightning in the bottle. But I mean, shit. Even with the even in the NBA is very similar. Look at the
Absolutely.
Mavericks in 2011. They got hot at the right time. That's what that was. They got
Literally.
hot at the perfect time. They found that momentum and they rolled that all the way to an NBA Finals victory on one of the toughest roads to a championship in sports history and definitely in NBA history. Momentum. God had a momentum, man. It is so crucial for in team sports. So crucial in team sports. Fighting as well, but definitely in team sports. Got to. Um, your San Francisco Giants. Y'all lost that series against the Padres. Y'all are currently down 1 run to the Dodgers in the bottom of the eighth.
It's hard.
Losing, lost the other game.
We can never have both. We either are good pitching with terrible hitting, or we're good hitting with bad. And actually this year we went and got, that was one of our emphasis. We went out and got good, defenders, hitters. We got Matt Chapman, and Blake Snell hasn't played, but we got Matt Chapman, and we went out and made all these moves, and now we're kind of in the spot where we're one of the best hitting teams, but now our pitching is terrible. More specifically, our relief pitching. Our starting pitching is actually really solid. Our relievers are trash. We actually traded a guy we traded our backup catcher before the game, like a couple minutes before the game. I got a notification on my phone that we traded Joey Bart for a relief pitcher. So they're trying to do their thing to recover that
to finish
missing
above
element.
500. That
Yeah.
is that the goal this year.
I would rather, like I said, I would rather them. Obviously, I don't want them to lose, but I would rather them finish lower than 500 than finish dead even like they did last year. That's I know with the Hawks, bro. Like being perfectly mid is the worst thing in the world. I would rather suck or I would rather be really good.
Yeah, it really it's just, and it's not even, it's just purgatory. Like it's just horrible. But yeah, it's just very odd. Even the Hawks went on like a 5-game win streak. Now we're 35-40. We're pretty much solidified the play-in tournament as the 10th seed. The Nets are right below us, 29-47. But there is a possibility that we can finish dead even again if we win out the rest of the season, which is possible. We will finish dead even. And would I be surprised? Not at all.
Yeah, no, not honestly. I mean, I expect the Giants to do better because they did improve the roster. It's just, like I said, they just have to come. They have to gel it together. When you get good pitching days, you have to make sure you take advantage with good hitting days. And when you get good hitting, you have to make sure you take advantage with good pitching. And mainly it's been the hitting that's been doing well versus the pitching that hasn't been doing as well.
So interesting how that can happen, to just be perfectly mid. That needs to be studied. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video on that one day. The art of just being mid. Of course, I'll have the Hawks in there. I'll probably have the Giants in there. I'm sure there's some football team in there that has done the same too. I look at their total record. But yeah, anything else you want to talk about with the MLB?
Not much. I mean, it's like I said, it's still so early. Last year the Pirates started hot. They're starting 5-0 again this year, but by the end of the season they were bottom of the NL Central. So it's like there's just so much uncertainty, and obviously we haven't even touched injuries and things of that sort yet. So once the season gets going a little bit, we're still in the very, very, very early stages. Infant stages of the season. It's a long season, but it's also a short season. Like it goes by like this, but it's also long. So it's just a 162 games. That's a lot of games. So it's just, you got so much time to completely turn around. I mean, we saw the Braves when they won their championship. They were doing terrible when Acuna went out, and they completely turned their season around. So it's just, there's so much time before we can really solidify any positions. And like I said, injuries are gonna happen, things of that sort. So we gotta see.
Bro, this damn camera, bro. Always blurring, bro. But so yeah, MLB opening week. We will be here.
You good? Are you good? Okay, now you all right, now you're good.
Hello?
Yeah,
okay.
You're good.
Yeah, I accidentally ripped out my Ethernet cable. I'm tripping. But yeah, we'll be here to talk about it throughout the rest of the season. I'm tripping, bro. I was trying to adjust my mic and ended up ripping out my damn cord. But yeah, now on to the final segment of the show. WrestleMania 40. Big show. WWE is hyping it up as to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time, which is saying something. It might be the biggest of all time. Let's hope it's let's hope it's the greatest of all time. I mean, the match card is looking very nice. I cannot lie. Of course, it is for the last few years they've been doing it with the 2 nights. You'll have a night 1, then they have a night 2. Night 1 is being headlined by The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Last Monday night on Raw, which was the last Raw showing until WrestleMania this weekend, we saw The Rock and Roman Reigns literally whipping Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, literally whipping with the belts.
With the belt.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm really liking I'm really liking where the WWE is right now. It's very reminiscent of the Attitude Era as far as the the griminess of it. Like we're seeing real blood, and it's not
Yeah, the
often, but
PG era is
two weeks
officially
ago,
over.
Rock beat down. Yeah, like the Rock beat down Cody outside in the parking lot after Raw went off, bloodied his face, talking about Mama Rhodes and this and that. Man, I'm like, okay. And then Cody Rhodes talking about something about calling the Rock a bitch or calling something about he said little dick energy. That's what he referred to the Rock as on live television. And I'm like, oh wow. So we are really out of the PG era. And I love it. I'm here for it. 100% The Rock. This is some of his best work. He's been walking out to an entrance theme of the Titantron would say the final boss. And he has the final boss energy. Like he's walking out, he's wearing, man, he's doing the whole Hollywood Rock thing with the expensive shirts and taunting the crowds and insulting them and being ruthless in what he's doing. Like he is, like I'm telling you, like, this man was whipping Cody Rhodes with a belt, beating him up outside the parking lot. I love this. I love this so much more than happy-go-lucky fan favorite Rock. Of course, I enjoy watching him, but oh boy, I love heel Rock so much more. Even his old stuff. Even his old stuff. The lead up to WrestleMania 19, and then a few weeks afterwards. And then even now, it's so great to see. I love it. This is his first heel turn since like 04. Like it's or not even 04, 03, literally 03. So it's been over 20 plus years since we've seen him be a heel, and it's been great. So I want to see how that tag team match goes. On night one as well, we got Rhea Ripley defending her women's world championship against Becky Lynch. Gunther versus Sami Zayn. Ooh, I can't wait for that match. That's going to be such a good match. I love Gunther so much. He is such a great wrestler. Last year, he had a really good match defending his Intercontinental belt against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Mind you, Gunther has held on to that Intercontinental belt for 1,000+ days. He is an amazing champ. He has made the Intercontinental belt feel like what it has always should have felt like, a workhorse belt. That's what it used to be like. That's what it was brought into the company to be. And then it was a kind of a dip in quality, various times throughout its tenure in the WWE. But now, with the way Gunther's holding it, whenever he drops it to whoever he drops it, they're going to be a made man. It's gonna be an amazing match. It'll be a made man because already Gunther is going to be a world champion one day. When? I'm not sure because we still got Seth Rollins holding the world heavyweight championship, and we got Roman Reigns as the undisputed champ. So I'm not sure when that's going to happen. When we're going to see Gunther switch over to the main event world title scene. But whenever that happens, I'm so here for it. Oh, that Austrian man, he's going crazy. Jimmy Uso versus Jay Uso. Talk about these are people we used to watch as kids, legitimately. Like they came into the WWE in 2010. Always a tag team, always. Then we saw them join the Bloodline, and then we saw fractures, and we we saw a little rivalry between the two for the past year or so, and now it's culminating at WrestleMania. This is the blow off match. This is the match to make it. I'm so excited for that as well. Main event Jay. It's crazy. I don't know about you, but it's kind of crazy seeing stars that become, main event players that didn't start that way. Like The Miz, when he wasn't even liked by his own contemporary. He was kicked out the locker room and stuff. Seeing him in 09, or not even 09, really earlier, about 07, 08, the way he used to dress, the way he used to act, he looked stupid. In my honest retroactive, I still look at his tenure back then, but when he was tag teaming with John Morrison as the dirt sheet. Yeah, they were tag team champions, but that's all I thought he was gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Middle card, low card act. And then this man goes to win Money in the Bank and then wins a WWE championship. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, this man's legit. Then he becomes one
Yeah.
of the best intercontinental champions of all time, one of the best heels of all time. It's like, man, that's crazy. And then seeing the Usos too. The Usos were always a tag team act. Now they're going to be facing each other in a very anticipated match on WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Like,
that's one of the harder things to do is to split coming in like a tag.
mm-hmm.
That's one of the harder things. And like you said, just it's a very anticipated match between the two of them. I'm looking forward to it, and I think, like you said, it's always interesting seeing guys go from mid low card guys to actual superstars in the WWE. And I think honestly, I'm a little bit more excited for day two. And we'll get
Oh yeah.
into it.
Yeah, I bet
We'll
say
get
we
into it.
oh my goodness. What?
We'll get into that in a second. But we still got the 6-pack ladder match on day one, between Judgment Day, Awesome Truth, DIY, and our New Day, New Catch, and A-Town Down Under. That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun one to watch. Bianca Belair, Naomi and Jade Cargill versus Damage Control, which is Asuka, Kairi-san. That's the Kabuki Warriors plus Dakota Kai, and then Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar and Dominic. That one's gonna be, it's always fun to see Ray. That's obviously legend in his own
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one too. I like Santos Escobar. I like his work. But yeah, it's. I also like that WrestleMania 2 is 2 days. It really allows you to jam pack each
Yeah,
day. It
load the
gives
card.
time to breathe. Um, I will always remember some WrestleMania matches being rushed or being too long, because it's only one night in the past, and it's like, like
It's
Kane versus
limited.
Undertaker on WrestleMania 20. I always said it was a very short match. I wish it was a little longer. I'm sure it would have been if they had kind of like the same setup. But also, there's also a testament to how great the roster is as well. Gotta give credit to that. You gotta give credit to, you have to have a deep roster in order to do shit like this. So great talent development, great job going out and getting these free agents like Jade Cargill. Yeah, I'm super excited for this. And of course, night two, headline is going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes in the main event. Roman Reigns will be defending his undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Let's see. I want Cody Rhodes to win this belt. I want it. It will be a perfect cap to the storyline, and also set up a whole bunch of other things. A lot of options there if Cody wins. I don't want to see Roman win. He's not even a full-time roster wrestler anymore. I don't want to see him hold a belt for another 400 days so he can beat Hulk Hogan's record. That will be literal death to me. And it's not nothing against Roman. He's a great heel, been a great champ. However, I would like the belt to be held by a full-time active wrestler, showing up to shows, wrestling on weekly television, wrestling on pay-per-views. I would like to see that. That's what I was raised on. So when we kind of switched off and Brock Lesnar did it, and then Roman did it, it's not a good feeling for me. But I'm so excited for that. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. That's gonna be crazy. Two of the best wrestlers in the business right now. Seth Rollins is probably the best. You want to get a great match? Seth Rollins is your guy to go to in the company right now. I ain't gonna lie. Very much so like Kurt Angle, very much so like Shawn Michaels, very much so like Bret Hart, where you want a great match against anyone. Seth Rollins is going to be the man to provide it, and he's been doing that as champ. He's been doing that shit since he really broke out into his singles match stardom back in 2016.
16.
I would say 2016, and he's been like that ever since through injuries. Been injured, back injury, knee injuries. No matter what, still come back. He's still probably the best wrestler in the company right now, and I love it. I love it. So we're very excited for that match. The women's championship match between Io Sky and Bailey.
I'm excited for that one.
US
I like watching Io Sky.
Io Sky. I haven't seen too much of her, honestly. Personally, I haven't seen too much. I've been much more invested in Sasha Banks, and Jade Cargill, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Asuka, but Io Sky is just always kind of floats off of my radar, goes under the radar for me.
She's very entertaining to watch. Very, very entertaining. I've watched a couple of her things, and she's just like you said, when in terms of looking for a good match, I think she's kind of the guy or one of those for the women's right now that she's always gonna perform. She's always gonna have a good showing. So she's her versus Bailey. That's a very I mean, this card in general is just stacked, but that's
Stacked.
another one that I'm
It's the biggest WrestleMania of all time. It's setting up to be one of the greatest.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping. I'm hoping they got after that or before that match. It's United States Championship triple threat. The champ Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. The fact that Randy Orton's still going strong is just incredible. Very excited for that. LA Knight versus AJ Styles. AJ Styles, same thing. Boy's jacked. That's just crazy swole.
I've seen him in his street clothes, man. That guy is it's ridiculous.
Like it's just a bulge of meat. Pause. But and yeah, and then the show opener for day 2 will be Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament. So that'll be a good show opener. Bobby Lashley too. This man's been wrestling. He like that's insane. He used to be one of my favorite wrestlers back then. Back in late 2000s. Before he left WWE to do TNA and to do mixed martial arts.
You can talk about physique. You talk about physique. Bobby Lashley, man, that guy's got.
Dude just was like a meatball. Like, his head shape and just how beefy he is. But yeah, this is the 5th WrestleMania that's being held over the course of 2 days. And I like it. Last year's was really, 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 really good. I enjoyed it. This year I feel like it's gonna be the same. Now we have The Rock in action. I want to see how he fits into the fray on day 2. And
that's a lot of potential stuff. Like there's a lot of we don't know what's gonna happen. They Triple H has done an amazing job. He's done an amazing job of setting this up. One thing I did want to go back to with Roman versus Cody, it's like if Roman wins, what do you do? Right? I mean, he's already a part-time fighter, but like if Roman wins, what is the setup here?
I don't know. I'm gonna assume Roman versus The Rock, like they've been teasing for forever, but I don't want to see that with the belt on the line.
Exactly. You want The Rock to come back in? That would be so bad if The Rock comes back and he's the one to win the belt from
to break that his 1,300 plus day reign. That's just no. It needs to be Cody. It needs to, like, there is no other option but Cody. It needs to be Cody wins. He wins the belt, right? Due to some mishap with the Rock trying to help Roman, it ends up costing him. There's friction between the two. They end up having a fight, right? They build for a match. That's what that needs to be. And Cody Rhodes can go on to finally complete his story and move on to greener pastures, right? If Roman wins, though, I bet that will be probably one of the loudest boos ever. I'm not like I can, man. Things will be one of the loudest boos ever.
Sports event.
Not gonna be good. It's Philly too.
Oh yeah,
it's in Philly.
Yeah. Like, it's in Philly too. That's.
Can you imagine they have on Twitter?
Yeah, they have no problem voicing their displeasure. That's one thing about Philly.
Nope. And then of course we have CM Punk is still injured. He's not even in the fray right now. But when he comes back, there's options there too as well. So it's a lot that the WWE has going for themselves. I trust them to book this correctly, and keep this momentum as well. Man, sports week, man, we got UFC 300 next week.
Next Saturday, UFC 300. I'm waiting for that one, man.
Man, that is literally from top to bottom. Like that is I think it's what, Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
What is it for? I'm thinking about my work schedule. Shit, 4 to 8. Shit. I might have.
That's the thing about. Yeah, that's the thing about that one. I mean, well, You would only be missing really what Jalen Turner versus.
Oh, I ain't missing nothing.
I mean, that's
Please
what I'm
believe
saying.
me, I ain't missing nothing.
But
I ain't
yeah,
missing nothing.
if there's anything to miss, it would be the early prelims. But I wouldn't recommend missing those either. But I mean, the prelims, you still got, if you get off at 8, you still got the prelims. You make
I
the
ain't
prelims.
missing
I'm
shit.
gonna watch the whole card, but
I'm gonna have my phone right here. I'm gonna have my earbuds in. I'm gonna have my portable charger. I'm on the ready. I have everything set up. I'm gonna even have my food ready. I like to eat and watch fights. And then when I come home, I'm gonna have me some nice drinks ready. I'm gonna have my pen and paper ready too. My notes, you know what I'm saying? Because man, we're gonna talk about breakdowns. Boy, what I'm finna do to this UFC 300 card, boy. Ooh, man, y'all don't even know. But yeah,
also they announced Dana announced what's it called, UFC Saudi.
Saudi Arabia, their first card
That
in
card,
Saudi Arabia.
that card is looking nice. That
Let's
card is looking pretty stacked. I'm not gonna lie to you.
let's hope that we don't have a Hamza missing weight. That's a real threat to this card. He's going to get Robert
Even
Whittaker main event. That's gonna be a big
even
fight.
still,
But
yeah, Sergey, even still, Pavlovich versus Volkov. What's it called? Gastelum versus Rodriguez. Like,
that's a bigger card than damn UFC Brazil. Kevin Gastelum. Oh my goodness, that's fucking crazy. I remember he was supposed to be fighting earlier, and he cut his eye in practice, from an elbow. Somebody's throwing elbows in sparring practice. Fucking dummy.
uncovered elbow in sparring practice is crazy.
So dumb. So dumb. But yeah, man, UFC, they looking nice. They doing their thing. I can't wait for next weekend. Playoff basketball. We don't have like about 5-6 games left. So playoff basketball right around the corner. Seeing shit tighten up. Like I said, we're gonna be bringing y'all an NBA exclusive episode just so we can kind of dive into the end of this season. We can look back at beginning, look through everything that's happened in between, look at the playoff matchups coming up, fight for seeding, play-in tournament, narrative, storylines, all that. We're gonna devote an episode to the NBA. Definitely before UFC 300, because when UFC 300 comes, that's probably gonna be a UFC exclusive episode as well.
Right next
But
Thursday.
yeah, man, I'm just so hyped for this. Oh, the Wrestlemania as well. So yeah, man, these next couple weeks, man, Here Rewards gonna be popping. So y'all need to be ready. Y'all need to tune in. We got so much to talk about for these next few weeks. The Final Fours is this Saturday. Man, this is crazy. This is a lot.
WrestleMania, Final Four, UFC 300, NBA playoffs, MLB opening week.
It's
It's a
just
lot.
a lot, man. I'm so excited. We're excited, and we're gonna be here to break it down, man. I've been plotting some new content to present to y'all, to kind of give it a more in-depth look at different things. And I think that y'all are going to appreciate it, especially with our discussion, our nuance, the debates and conversation. Anything you want to leave the viewers with? No.
No, just look forward to hearing us on Thursday, ready for as we prepare for WrestleMania this weekend, and sit back, kick back, and enjoy what should be really good weekend.
Yes, it will. We're super excited. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, rate us on Spotify, rate us on Apple Music, share Apple Podcasts. Damn it, share it to all of your friends, your family, people that you know like listening to sports. I am the Tony Hope. That is Noble Lewis. We are Hear Me Roar, and we are